Welcome to The Better Life with Dr. Mary Ann Pinkston. Join Dr. Pinkston today as she teaches you how an integrative approach to health, combining holistic and contemporary medical information, can lead you to the better life. And now, here's your host, Dr. Mary Ann Pinkston.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It is nice to have you back. I am really excited. I know I always say that, but I'm always excited when I do this. I have somebody really special that I want to present to you today who we're going to talk about something really important. And her name is Jennifer Jones. She is an RN BSN who has been in the medical field for 21 years now, and has done some home health and has worked with the ICU and done some critical care, a lot of really heavy, hard work with patients. Then turned her direction into, helping patients live a more vital and wonderful life with Reiki, and she's been doing that for over 5 years now. And I have joined her. We have joined forces into the CBD world now. So we're going to talk about that one of these days. But today we're not really talking about that. JJ, I want to welcome you and thank you for coming on and visiting me today. How are you?
I am great. Thank
Good.
you, Dr. Pinkston, so much for having me. I wanted to say that I am so happy that you are doing this show on the radio and for everybody, because that is a passion of mine, is to get out the holistic approach to mainstream in the world. So I'm so grateful to you for taking this on, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
JJ, thank you. I really appreciate that. And, you and I have a great understanding of, and respect for each other, deep respect for each other, because we talk a lot about, we talk a lot about personal things. We talk a lot about things that are important to, patient care and more an integrative style medicine. But I think our topic today is something that's very close to my heart and close to yours as well. I think that's why we're experts. It's not so much that we're experts in the medical field, except we are just experts at life experience. And that's what I've kind of coined the Superwoman Syndrome. So in that, the Superwoman Syndrome, to explain that a bit, I think that women, and I don't care, it's across ages, across cultures, religions, whatever, we take on a lot, and we take on some super, super responsibilities, and we drop our self-care in that, in that mode. And so, I want you to share your experience a little bit about, how you understand it and where you think that, women ought to make some changes.
Yeah. So let me give you just a little bit of my story, because it takes me into it. So when I was in, my mid 30s, I had what I call checked all the boxes, right? So I had, the husband, the 2.5 kids, I had the house on the half an acre, I had the chickens, worked actually several jobs in staffing with nursing and going to all these different hospitals. Plus I was doing the school nurse stuff. I was also, PTA in the church, everything. Yeah. Soccer mom, coaching soccer, driving kids around, taking everybody everywhere. And I just remember driving down the road. I was living out in Dripping Springs outside of Austin. And I just remember having this moment of like, surely this isn't what we were put here for. Right. Like, where's my happiness payment? I did not receive my happiness payment when I checked all the boxes, because that's what I had kind of been taught and what I had seen was that, when you do all of this, that's what's going to bring you happiness. And so I literally I stopped and my world fell apart, and that's a whole story into itself. But when I decided to rebuild it and how I wanted to, I thought, okay, I know that the answers are there. And what I found was it was the opposite, because I truly believe, especially after doing 5 years of Reiki and working with energy all the time, the female energy is what sets the tone for the environment, for the home. And so when we're strained and we're stressed and, we're having trouble, it actually is doing a disservice to the family. Like, you think you're doing all this for your family. You're like, I'm going to do all this to make everybody happy, make sure everybody's healthy, make sure everybody has what they need. And that, you're feeding them in all areas, but the time you are depleting yourself, and you'll find they're not happy either. They're having their own issues. And so I did notice that with other people. And it wasn't just me. And I said, okay, so what, so I know the problem. And then, like, as you talk about in your shows, a lot of them about the stress, and then that stress causing the breakdown in the body. And then all these things we're having to do now, and supplements and procedures and hormones and all of this that we're having to actually do to make it
right. Yeah.
Right. Because, but we broke ourselves. Right. Yes. So when you take all the stress away, and you actually can enjoy your life, and you enjoy each day, and you get to just like have fun with it.
Right.
You'll be surprised how much you may not need.
It's true. And I love how you kind of mentioned your little checkbox and, did I sign up for this? Because I think it's ingrained in us from birth. We watched our grandmothers do it. We watched our moms do it. We watched them on TV do it. How many things can you check off and show that you can do, and wear your cape? And, I've got this laundry list of things that I perform and do. I can handle it. And I won't, break down. I'm the strongest person in the family. Everybody relies on me. I've got the answer for everything. And I have to look it, feel it, and represent it all the time, when really you're falling apart inside. And that is like, where did you sign up for that? I agree. And I don't know how we dragged ourselves into this as we go through, the times and change with technology. And, it keeps piling on and getting more and more with every generation. And we're headed for a fall entirely. And I think as women, we really have to back up and relearn what it is to take care of ourselves so that we don't fall apart for everybody. Because I think that's where things like, divorce and children, not performing well at school or having social and psychological problems and things like that. No, it's not mom's fault. But I think it's the societal expectations that we built up for ourselves. And the fact that we don't show our children and everybody in our families are an ideal of what they should do to take care of themselves. If I'm taking care of me, you're going to be taken care of. And we've flipped that, where I'm going to take care of you at the cost of me. And that way, I've had the ultimate martyr, self-sacrifice, and that is just something we have got to stop and can't do anymore. So I agree with you completely. And that's, like you, I have the exact same experience. When I sit with patients, it's the same thing over and over. I hear it every day. So how do we stop this? What do we do? How do we take control?
So number one is this, I found that when you transition into it's really the opposite, where you put the focus on you, because you can convince yourself of anything. So many of women out there are convincing themselves that, oh, I am doing it all. Oh no, I have my career, and I have the kids, and we making it happen. But they're not. Like it's I don't want to say denial, but it's deceiving themselves. They're really, because if you really look, there is no way that you can be emotionally and mentally available when you have you're under all of this pressure. You're just like, it's reactive mode, and you're just, getting through the day, right? To just turn around and do it again. And so honestly, number one is you have to stop, because you have that momentum. You need to stop that momentum. And then you have to start being selfish. And I know that is very difficult, especially for women. And you're going to go through a kind of a guilty process, let's say, that you're going to feel bad about it, because it doesn't feel, it's not what you've ever known. But once you start to actually do it and you see those results, and you see how happy your family is and your kids are, and you see how people are laughing and having fun again and enjoying life and enjoying themselves, and you'll be so surprised how everything turns around. Even your finances get better. Your health, just everything will start to turn around, and you just kind of have to, there's just that working through it, where I work through with a lot of clients on working through that whole, like that shift and the mom guilt that comes up with it. But it's just a program you're running, and you can change that program anytime.
It's a habit, right? It's a habit. And maybe it's not so much, selfish as much as it's just developing boundaries again. I mean, you can have boundaries, you can say no, and not have it perceived as a selfish moment. And that is, I think, where we've lost track of ourselves, is in that moment of, hey, look, that's not completely right for me to give everything I've got and tear myself down. And maybe that's visualized as a selfish maneuver, but really it's just a basic boundary in self-care. And you have to recognize it first. I think you have to catch yourself in the middle of it too and go, wait, recognize it, see what you're doing, and then, go to somebody like you who can, or me even, and, who can kind of help guide you in that understanding and pull you through it and help you understand it a bit. So, I think it's all about just giving yourself a good boundary, saying no for once instead of yes to every single thing that's put on your plate. It's not wrong to do that.
Yeah, and 100%. And honestly, I don't view it as selfish at all. I view it as actually serving, because you are serving your family, you're serving your friends, you're serving your coworkers, you're serving by being a happier, more enjoyable person. But when people are first, I have found when women are first coming out of this and going into that, what is best for me? What can I do to help me to, feel awesome and amazing? Because like at 35, 37, I felt 80. Now I'm 47 and I feel like I'm 27. So I definitely feel that, but it's just that initial going from that belief system and that program. And when you are in the process of changing it, it's just natural for people to view it or feel it as a selfish. But to me, it's not. To me, it's actually, you're empowering yourself. And that gives you so much control over your life. It gives you just, control over just everything that you haven't had because you've just been in reactive mode the whole time.
The fight or flight, constant. That cortisol comes to your fight or flight all the time, just like you say, reactive. And it's just, constantly on the edge. And you can't live that way. Your body's inflamed, you gain weight, you get depressed. And it may not be an organic depression. It's just situational, and you just feel that way, and you pull yourself out of that. You don't need a bunch of medication. You don't need a bunch of, maybe some therapy. That's okay. I'm very open to all of that. I think it's wonderful. But, you may not need all those things. It's just a self-realization. But you need support, and you need somebody who's done it and understands it and knows how to pull you through. And it's, that's very, very important. You need to watch another woman do it. And I think men understand it on a different level. They're providers. It's a whole different frame of mind. Women are nurturers. And that's where, men can provide and not always feel guilt about saying no. Women are nurturers. I think that's where our guilt is driven a little bit. Mm-hmm. So you definitely, I think, need it. And we need to teach our daughters, and our next generation, they need to teach theirs how to break that cycle. It's like many cycles of weight gain, cycles of abuse. All of those things are cycles and habits that are ingrained and formed by watching somebody else do it. And they're watching us, and we've got to be careful about that. I love what you said about, oh my gosh, I've never thought about it that way. I'm 35, feeling 80. Now I'm 52 about, and feeling 20. And it's a big change. My family's changed. Everybody's changed. We went through a lot doing it, but it was so worthwhile. And I feel like my children are so much better for it. It's a huge change. And so, I'm going to take a few minutes. I told you that this was going to go fast, right? So we're already down to a couple of minutes before we take our break. I want us to come back on the other side, though, and talk a little bit more about how to reach out and, find out how to develop those skills. Where do you go? What do you do? I want you, though, to tell all of us, how do we find you? You are available, and unlike correct me if I'm wrong, unlike a medical license where I'm restricted in a state as far as prescribing and things like that, you are not. And so like I say, correct me if I'm wrong, but how do people find you?
Yeah, so there's definitely my approach. I can do more of an individual approach to people and working with them, and then different, of course, recommendations, whether it's therapy, whether it's seeing your physician, different things like that. But there's not like a standard that I have to follow. So right. That it does help people to be more individualized for them. So you can find me on my website is choosingvitality.com. And then also I'm on Facebook. I have a group. I would like to direct you to that group. It's Empower Your Life by Jennifer Jones. It's a public group, so feel free to join that. And then on Instagram, it's Jennifer Jones. So those are the places you can find me.
And I will have all of this on my website when this airs on Sunday morning. So you will be there. and let everybody know and pick and choose. I just wanted them to hear it. Choosing vitality, I love that. Empowerment, love it. So it was great. And you are very well educated at this. This is not just something that you've thought of and sat down and said, I think I'll talk to people about this. I experienced it, so I'll talk about it. You are very well educated at this. You're trained. This is something that you do. I want people to understand.
Exactly. I mean, like I said, 21 years in the nursing field, and then going from intensive care, which was one area, into home health, where I was able to see how people lived and really see all of those dynamics we've been talking about. And then as well as, working with clients and teaching classes for 5 years, specifically around the energy aspect of it and how our energy affects the world around us.
All right. That's wonderful. And I have a few people I need to thank this morning. So Dolce Beauty and Laser, Lisa Trinquire, is over at Camp Bullis Road up in North San Antonio. Does a lot of great anti-aging and Botox and fillers and lasers and all. I mean, hey, look at me, right? I'm kidding. I do a lot of my stuff over there with Lisa. I trust her very much. She does a fantastic job with a one-on-one with patients, very well trained and excellent staff. So I want to thank them for sponsoring me this morning. I also want people to understand where they can find me. So I know this airs on the radio here in San Antonio, but you can go to drpbetterlife.com, where you can find all of my shows. I think I'm at 12 now. It's crazy. This just started yesterday, right? So I think I'm already at 12. And you can find my podcast on iTunes and Spotify and the like. Talk a lot about weight loss and all those things. And I do have a clinic here in town as well. I'll talk about that on the flip side. JJ, we're going to take a brief break. We're going to come back on the other side and empower some women here. Thank you. Hey, welcome back. I am with JJ Jones this morning, a nurse and a Reiki professional who is going to work with me some on my life and fix me. So I'm going to turn her over to you this morning as well. And we're talking about empowering women. And not just empowerment, JJ, but we're talking about stopping a cycle of the Superwoman Syndrome, where we take on everything that we have to do in life and try to be perfect at it. We ruin our lives and in the process ruin our families. So, this is a big deal. I think you are well trained at all these things that you do, in talking with people one-on-one about, how to make some changes in their lives and their relationships and things like that. Explain Reiki a little bit to me. And I understand you have an offer, too, for people out there as well.
Yeah, I do. Okay, so, so I'm a Reiki master, so there's 3 levels within Reiki as a practitioner, level 1, level 2, and 3. But basically, it's just part of what I do, and it's kind of, it's more like, I call it energy transformation. I've kind of coined my own term here. But we have an energy body, and we always, and traditionally in the world, you see mostly the focus on physical, with the medical, and then a mental. So, with mental health. But there's also an energy field and that needs to be worked with as well. So for me, I do the holistic approach in the sense of working with all of the areas. So with my nursing background, it's a great way to incorporate that. So that's what I do. And so I work with the energy field as well with the mental body and as well with the physical body. And then how to make changes. But the changes are long-term changes. We're not looking for a temporary, fixed Band-Aid. And it's how for you to... There's a navigation system, but we're not going to get into that today. And it's how to identify that and then how to learn to work with it so that you can have the life that you truly desire.
Exactly. And desire and deserve. Because again, for those of you who may not have joined us in the beginning, we were talking about how women do take on these things. We've watched our grandmothers and our mothers do it, and our daughters are watching us, about how we have a long checklist of duties and things that we provide. I do feel we are the head of the family, and it may not be in a financial sense, but I think in a directional sense, we kind of herd the sheep and keep the calendar and, keep the direction going and everything positive, and we lose our vitality and we lose ourselves in that. When we lose ourselves, we affect our families and we affect our children, and then we're teaching them to do the same thing. That's where we gain weight, become inflamed, get diabetes, whatever it is. Everybody's different about how they tumble down that hill, but that's what happens. You tumble down that hill. So we need I call it Superwoman Syndrome simply because I think that we see ourselves as, that woman who is at the super level and has to fix it all and be it all. And we can't do that. And it's not necessary. It's really not necessary. So we definitely want to, develop some boundaries and take care of our families and a little bit differently by taking care of ourselves. And so with that, if they reach out to you, so how would the process work? If they are to reach out to you, how does that work?
Okay. Yeah, so I want to go into kind of like what the process would be. So, there's different options you can have. I definitely recommend that you have a guide on this journey. So whether you say go to a therapist or whether you go say with a life coach or like with me, with energy transformation, you do want someone to help you guide you, because again, you need to kind of stop where you are and then you're going to like re-go. And I have to say, like Dr. Pinkston, you were saying like it's not necessary, but I really honestly believe that this Superwoman Syndrome is actually more harmful than it is good. I think it's actually not just harmful to you. I feel like it, because again, the woman is the nurturer. The woman is the one who kind of feeds on with the energy. And so if you're not able to do that, then it's actually being harmful. Okay. Now, one of the things that you will find when you go to do this is that, when I ask my clients, like, what is it that you want to do? Like, what do you want to do with your life? What do you like? Like simple things like what's your favorite food, or, your favorite color, or what's, these things that you like. Most of the time we can't answer it because we've always been, do our kids want? What do our husbands want? What do our family want? That we don't even know what we want anymore. Like we don't. Like my son told me my favorite color was pink, so it was pink for years. But I didn't even have a choice, right?
The same thing.
Yeah. So you have to. That's where the guide comes in to really kind of help you figure out what it is that you truly desire and you want. So for me, what you do is you go to my website, choosingvitality.com. I have a free consultation. So, and just click on the free consultation. It's going to be a 15-minute free consultation. In the description where it says provide additional information, if you will put a better life in there, this will give you a couple options that you have. So you would get 20% off a Reiki session or a Reiki class, because sometimes people want to take the class so they can learn more about how to do it themselves. Right. And also, I'm a big believer. We talked about CBD. Yes. And so I do have a 3-day trial for free that will provide you with that, because that's important too. And I'll explain that to you when you reach out to me. So I wanted to offer that for people that are watching this to get them started. And then from the consultation, I will kind of, you go from there, and it's really individually based. It depends on how fast you go. It's not a set thing. Mm-hmm. Some people need a lot of sessions. Some people don't need as much. It's everyone's at their different pace and speed. So it's very individualized.
Yes, absolutely. And that's great, JJ. I thank you. So I want everybody to go to my website at drpbetterlife.com, and you will find all of JJ's information from Facebook to Instagram and her website. And you'll find some of my previous shows, and you will also find the ability to find me here in San Antonio. So I'm at 10865 Shanefield Road, Suite 1101, 210-698-7825. I do see patients. I do take insurance. JJ, I'm sure, has her own fee schedule. She's got an awesome offer. You need to take advantage of that. So you will be able to find her at choosingvitality.com. JJ, that's it. Our 7 minutes just went poof. So I want to thank you so much for being on this morning and joining me with this. We are going to do more of this. This is going to happen again. So be prepared. But everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you next week on The Better Life. Thank you.